Then I start with the design and call you later. Yeah? Okay? Great. Okay. Yeah, bye. So Kirill and I was on the call. We've discussed the earlier version of prototype of transcriptor that he was making the previous video. So far the prototype contains only essentials, a form to upload the audio files and an account page that contains information about your previous uploads and the form where you can read your transcript. Now that I've seen how this works in action, I can start designing of the main page, the account page, login, registration, and so on. And this is what I'm going to do right now. Before I start, I need to embrace a certain limitation that this project and Kirill impose on me. First, I should not be a tryhard. We need something simple and fast. Also, I know Kirill doesn't like frontend very much, so I must limit myself to some simple elements. Ideally, I should use bootstrap elements that Kirill will quickly unite together, and then I will color them in the colors that were suggested to us by the AI from the previous video. And then I will add all these fancy beauties there. Also, Kirill and I discussed on how to simplify and speed up the design process, and we came across this site. This is some kind of application that, as I understand it, allows you to design web pages using the Bootstrap framework. Like, what you see is what you get, kind of. In general, the idea is cool, but when I dug deeper and watched the tutorial, I realized that this option is not for me. I don't understand anything about it at all, but if you are a small team and you want to save money on a designer, or if you're lucky enough to have taste and programming skills, then something like this, not necessarily this one, I think would be a great solution. We immediately dismissed all the options with website builders and other drag-and-drop tools, since messing with connecting our backend to them will be a massive pain in the ass. Designing and coding a couple of pages manually would be much easier. So I decided to go the old-fashioned way and draw the design by hand. And for this, I like to use good old Adobe Photoshop. Although no, I don't like it anymore. In fact, Photoshop is not well suited for web design. Now I'll show you exactly why. This is the layout of one of the pages of the MKDev website. My design vision told me that this spacing between the heading and the text would be perfect. As we can see, it's 90 pixels here. Then, if I send this layout to the web designer, they see this 90 pixels and put them directly into code. But if you measure the real number of pixels between the title and the text, it turns out here 101 pixels. 11 pixels larger than it should be. This happens because Photoshop does not take into account the line height. Therefore, all such margins and paddings will have to be adjusted manually as a result. I even ran across Stack Overflow discussion on how to calculate the line height correctly from Photoshop design. There is even a special formula for this. Anyway, screw this. I will use something more developers friendly instead, for example, Figma. I have never used Figma before. I think now is a good reason to start. Okay, here is what I have done so far. Not very much. I downloaded the Bootstrap pack for Figma, realized that it was completely useless for anything unless you just take a grid from there, which I did, so I have to come up with everything completely from scratch. In reality, the process of designing can be, let's say, lasting. It's a creative process, and you never know when inspiration will come, but there are some tricks that can speed up the process. We will not consider illegal options to gas up the imagination. Two things help me. The first is prototyping early in the development. Kirill and I discussed how the layout might look during our very first meeting. These sketches and the prototype that Kirill made are a good starting point for thinking through the base elements, their arrangement and interaction. How to decorate the elements will help stealing from other people's ideas. Well, not stealing, but looking on how others are doing for inspiration. Yeah, everyone has been doing this since Renaissance. I even have a special file here in which I collect links and interesting finds and ideas on how to implement them. This is a good chance to look what I got here. Okay, this one I like. A site about old people sucking wires. Don't try this at home. I will do something similar, but in our colors. I'm not going to show the capabilities of Figma, the video is not about that. But Figma has proven to be effective for web design. Although the implementation of some features is questionable, in general I'm completely satisfied with it. Totally recommend. For images, I use free photo stocks like Unsplash or Pixabay. If you think about it, there are quite a lot of tools that facilitate development. Feel free to use them, take inspiration from them, they were created for this. So far so good. What do you think? I think it looks decent. I did what was planned by the prototype, the main upload form, the registration and login form, an account for viewing uploads and transcribes. I think it's enough for the first day. Guess I can safely send this to Kirill. So, a quick video update. I just talked to Kirill, he looked through the design and he's not very happy, mainly because I almost completely ignored his request that I talked earlier. Kirill doesn't like front-end very much, so I must limit myself to some simple elements. He liked the design, but he will of course won't be happy coding it. Especially those tiny little dots and these random text blocks. He also criticized the form where you read the transcription, like why is it on the left and in a narrow window? In fact, I made it so because of science. You see, we have a very narrow field of view, so for better perception, it is better to place important information in the area that occupies 60% of the screen and move it to the left for those users who read from left to right. We also discussed a few corrections to the design, and now I will show you what I have done since. First of all, I made a few states for the main screen. As we discussed with Kirill at the very beginning, all the key actions, register, login, upload a file, the user should be able to do on the main page. Here I have it. Also, I added information on the key features of the product. I redesigned the lower part by removing the access from here. I also finished the account page, added all the options and settings available to the user and made it in all different states. also pop-ups and other screens such as FAQ. Also, Figma allows you, which is a very nice feature, to make interlinks between all windows and completely make elements clickable and interactive. And then it will be possible to click through the layout almost like on the site. But it was too late when I found out about the existence of this feature, so I'll leave it that way. Looking at all this and understanding how it should work and interact, Kirill will already be able to code all the remaining elements. So my part of the work is over for now. What do you think? Do you like it? Feel free to roast me in the comment section. The remaining work will be done by Kirill and I will join back later when it comes to testing. Some edits still need to be done and release, but it won't be very soon. For now I can take a little break. And you, in the meantime, wait for the next video from Kirill.